what he did was unforgivable. Basically, he made a mockery of the tenets of journalism. Now, all of us have done sensational things.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering. America, welcome to the eulogy. Eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in DUMBmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. So while every other political YouTuber is talking about the Donald Trump indictment out of Georgia, I'm going to be your escape hatch from that. I'm not going to be talking about that on this channel. Let all the legal pundits and prognosticators talk about that. That's not for me. I'm going to talk about something else and give you a little break from that. And that break is going to come in the form of looking at this interview with Geraldo Rivera that took place on Mediaite's podcast, and just how hypocritical he is when he talks about Tucker Carlson. But before we get to the video, please smash that thumbs up button, like, comment, share the show with your friends, and above all else, of course, please subscribe to the channel. The channel has been doing really well lately, been growing, but a lot of you out there that are watching the videos aren't subscribers, so please subscribe to the channel. This is an interview that Geraldo Rivera had with Mediaite Editor-in-Chief Aidan McLaughlin, and he discusses, among other topics, Tucker Carlson's coverage of January 6th, and just Tucker Carlson in general. This is kind of a story of two reporters who both left Fox News. One left to a chorus of cheers. When the other one left, they took the audience with them. And it seems to me that Geraldo Rivera is a little bit salty about that, and in being that salty, he is becoming very much a hypocrite. Take a look.
Why do you think he was able to do things like the January 6th coverage, which I think
Ratings?
Right.
Yeah, but he was very, very, very powerful, and you can in the discovery in the Dominion lawsuit, you see how arrogant he was, how contemptuous he was of trying to do the right thing and losing the audience, and how naive certain producers or certain reporters were when they complained of his bullshit.
Right.
It was pathetic, really pathetic. He got way too big for his britches. And the worst thing about Tucker, I like I say, I have no beefs against anybody. The worst thing about what he did was the ruthless pragmaticism that he displayed. I'm going to do this because that's what the audience wants. In other words, it wasn't the malevolent media leading the audience. It was the audience leading the malevolent media. What he did was unforgivable, basically. He made a mockery of the tenets of journalism. Now, all of us have done sensational things from time to time. All people, highly visible people, do things they look back on and they regret, maybe I should have tuned this down or whatever. But he seemed to me to willfully embrace something he did not sincerely believe in because it resulted in higher ratings. It stopped the hemorrhaging of the ratings from Fox to Newsmax, etc.
You know, folks, there's a word that my Jewish friends use that perfectly encapsulates Geraldo Rivera in this interview, and that's chutzpah. Geraldo has the chutzpah to talk about being driven and motivated by ratings. His entire career, Geraldo Rivera has been nothing but about ratings. And it didn't matter what journalistic tenets he destroyed in that wake. You want to see an example of it? Let me give you one. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. So my first exposure to Geraldo Rivera came when I was a kid back in the mid-'80s, when a commercial like this aired on a local syndicated station. I think it may have been WOR TV in New York City. Let this speak for itself. For those of you who may not remember this, this was a commercial for Geraldo Rivera's big special that's going to be opening up a vault that was supposedly owned by Al Capone.
Scarface Al Capone may have built it, and nobody knows what's in it. Some say money. Some say bodies. Some say it's booby trap, and we're going to open it. What secret lies inside? It may be Scarface Al Capone's biggest secret, and we'll open it on live television. Step inside the vault with me on April 21st.
Because that screams out journalistic integrity, right? And by the way, the vault was empty. It was completely empty. This was an hour-and-a-half special. I think it was a 2-hour special, something like that. And he found absolutely nothing. He didn't do any research into it. He didn't check the ownership of it. It was just a sensationalized spectacle. This was my first exposure to Geraldo Rivera. It certainly wasn't my last. As we know, he's been a fixture in media for a good long while. And he's always been known for exploiting and sensationalizing stories. He makes the stories about him rather than the story itself. I was going to put a clip up of the Geraldo Rivera show from the 80s, that trash TV show that he had, where there was a race riot that broke out because he put combustible elements on a stage. That's way too violent for me to share with you guys. It's on YouTube if you want to see it. Go check it out. But let me show you another recent example, a more recent example, I should say, of Geraldo Rivera sensationalizing and making himself a story and acting sanctimonious with a fellow journalist, and that journalist calling him out on being a sensational hack. So this is a segment from Fox News Channel's The Five from about 8 years ago. When Eric Bolling was still a host on the show, Geraldo Rivera was one of the panelists on the show, and they were discussing Donald Trump and illegal immigration back in the innocent days of the Donald Trump administration. And this is Geraldo Rivera defending that position. But listen to Eric Bolling's criticism of Geraldo Rivera. They know his reputation.
It is exploiting and sensationalizing.
From a guy who exploits and sensationalizes everything.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
You're lucky that you're my friend. I'd knock you out right now.
Well,
that's absolute
BS.
BS.
We can take this up later. How are you saying
that is absolute bogus?
How are you saying
BS.
that Trump is
You're
exploiting?
I exploit and sensationalize. What do you do? Where do you get your stuff from?
Geraldo,
what right-wing
you're saying that
Donald Trump is
exploiting
Okay,
a woman's
room.
death.
Get out.
It's her death.
All right.
You're downplaying it.
We're going to have a commercial coming up. It's probably a good time to roll the Bowflex commercial.
It might be a good time for that. Geraldo Rivera is known for being sensationalizing, for exploiting stories, and doing it for ratings. So to hear him talk about Tucker Carlson exploiting ratings when it came to the January 6th story, completely hypocritical and buffoonish. Think back in your own memories. Can you think of anything that Geraldo Rivera did where he didn't interject himself or insert himself and his personality into a story? This is exactly the type of hack journalist I talk about in my book, Schnooks, Crooks, Liars, and Scoundrels, a field guide to identifying political buffoons, available right now on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and other online bookstores. Just a little note about the book. It's a multiple award-winning book now. We've won awards. The most recent one is the ELIT Book Awards. We got the Silver Medal for current events. It's also a former Amazon #1 bestseller. I can't believe it myself. I'm a nobody from nowhere, and I was able to do that. It really is an amazing book. Check it out however you can. It's available for 99 cents on Amazon. Buffoonish hacks like Geraldo do two different things. First, they sensationalize stories. And second, they insert themselves and their own narratives into stories. Whenever you heard Geraldo Rivera talk about immigration, he always tried to insert himself into the story with his own opinions. As you saw with Eric Bolling, he was going to knock him out for being called sensationalized about it. He makes himself the story. You saw it with the Al Capone's vault thing. He made himself the story rather than doing the work that journalists do. Think about any sort of foreign reporting he did that he supposedly won awards for. He would make himself the story. It would be a human interest story through his eyes rather than a reporting of what was going on. That's what Geraldo Rivera does. And for him to now come out against Tucker Carlson and saying that he was motivated by ratings for the stories that he was doing on January 6th and other stories that he does is completely hypocritical. Because that's what Geraldo does. To this day, that whole Al Capone's vault special, Geraldo still thinks of it as a success because it got ratings. That's the achievement for Geraldo Rivera. Not that he was made a complete buffoon of, because the vault ended up being empty and all the sensationalized promises that he made could be drugs, could be bodies, could be booze, could have been a whole bunch of different things. You saw the ad. It all blew up in his face, but he doesn't care because he got the ratings for it. This is the exact same thing that Tucker Carlson is doing, according to him. And he thinks that's bad now because he's sticking up for the tenets of journalism. Geraldo Rivera doesn't care about journalism. He always cared about ratings. The problem here is Geraldo Rivera is getting out-Geraldoed by other journalists who actually show signs of being journalists and having ethics and following the tenets of journalism. He's yesterday's news. Tucker Carlson is the new hotness when it comes to conservative circles. His Twitter show is getting ratings better than his show on Fox News would get. And the audience actually shifted from Fox to Tucker and to other outlets like Newsmax. When Geraldo left, there was a round of applause and a see you later from the audience. They didn't care. And he's been talking about how he's not a fit for Fox News. He never was. He was defending Fox News not less than a year and a half ago. So please, spare me the sanctimony, Geraldo. You are the original journalistic hack, and you're a buffoon for being so hypocritical towards Tucker Carlson. Even if he was going for ratings, you're the ultimate hypocrite here because you're not getting the attention anymore, therefore nobody else should. So that's going to do it for this show. I'm glad you tuned in. I hope I was a little bit of an escape for you from the Trump news that's been going around, that you were able to get away from it from a little bit. As always, please smash that thumbs up button, like, comment, share the show with your friends, and above all else, subscribe to the channel. The channel is growing so much better than I thought it would, and it's all because of you guys. But you guys who are watching but are not subscribed, I'm hoping that I earn your subscription this time around. If not, maybe it'll be in the next video, where we'll keep talking about shenanigans and buffoonery that's going on this week in DUMBmocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.